So the pups are 4 weeks old. 4 weeks old. Today they've got to have their flea treatment and wormer. And we use it with what we call stronghold. We do it at 4 weeks of age. If you're using Drontal plus puppy wormer, we would do it at 3 weeks. But on this litter, we've used stronghold. Now, this is the first feed they've ever had. I've just spent nearly 25 minutes trying to just bring them out gently and let them lap on this food. And they've run across it, they've run through it, they've panicked, they've run back into that little side of the whelping box because they're not used to me at the moment. They're used to me coming in and out of the kennel, but as soon as the association with food, I brought them out of that place where they were secure and put them around the food bowl. Some of them panicked, and as soon as some of them screamed, then the whole lot of them scutter back into the one side. Now all of a sudden I'm out of the kennel, I've left the camera on, and I'm showing you the brave ones come out and start to feed, look, and then the others follow. And if you sat and watched them, you'd see which ones have got that ability to want to push the boundaries and test things. So they're coming out of their little box, they can't hear me, and all of a sudden they're going, we had that all over us and we've been licking each other and we like the taste of that, let's go back out there again. So if I was there and I kept trying to put them on and lap them so they were drinking that, and I've made it like a Weetabix mix, and most of the water content, what we call soup mix, has disappeared into their coats. They're all wet, they're filthy, and this is the first time. It's like taking a baby for baby food for the first couple of times. It gets spat out, it doesn't get taken in properly, it's all over the place, and then you start giving the baby its own spoon and it goes through the same environment, doesn't it, flicking it everywhere. So what's happening is some of these can't get out there. It causes a little bit of jealousy. We've got a blockage, as you can see, look, and others have to fight their way out, the same as they would with their mother's milk. Some of them aren't even bothered, look, but once they come out and start tasting this every morning, all of a sudden they'll be like little piranhas within 1 week. You'll see the difference within 1 week. These little pups will be out there and they will be lapping this up like crazy. And what we're doing at this point, the mother's not in there because we don't want the mother to associate food with them. We want the mother to finish this food off, what's ever left over. We'll put this food on top of the mother's food and the mother will finish this off. So at the moment the puppies will only get one feed until they're really lapping this up. Then I can start to wean the bitch off the pups, but you don't wean the bitch off the pups until they're about 6 weeks of age, really. 5 weeks, 6 weeks, and that's when I'd wean them off completely, and then I take over for the next 2 to 3 weeks until they're 8 weeks old and they go. At this point, this is CSJ Champ puppy, and we've fed all our puppies on this. It's not expensive, but they all seem to come on well with it. But what I do as well is I add raw mints. I give them raw mint, so they're having a wet mix at the moment, and then as soon as we got them onto the dry food, they're not getting wet, they're not getting messy. But at the moment, what happens is we've not changed the sawdust on purpose. We've just pushed the sawdust to one side, the bedding, and we're going to change the bedding once we've cleaned them. We've toweled them down, flannelled them down with warm water, and then just dried them quickly. So you don't want the pups getting very, very wet, but they're all going to be sticky and tacky from the food. So what we've got to do is, you'll see once they've had this food and they've had enough, and don't forget, I'm not in here at the moment. I don't know whether they're eating or not eating, because I got 1 or 2 of them to lap for about 30 seconds, and then one would come out when you grabbed hold of it and scream like crazy, and they'd all run and scatter themselves back into that other side. Some people say to me, why have you got that gap there? It gives them security, it gives them somewhere to go, and they enjoy gaining the confidence. And then what they start to do is mess one side and sleep the other side, so they're learning to be not dirty. Where if they're in with one area and they're crapping, they'll crap one end, but it will spread through, so it makes it easier. We keep sawdust in both sides, and then once they're clean, if they do mess, it gets into the sawdust and it doesn't get all over them, so they don't look a mess. But at the moment they're looking a mess, because look at them, look, they've all been wet, they're standing in the food, they're walking in the food, they haven't got a clue, some of these at the moment. They're not that enthusiastic, but I'm so pleased that they've lapped at this young age. This is about the youngest I've found that you can get them to lap comfortably, and they're looking for food now. They're actually searching for food. So tomorrow when I come in with this, it's going to be easier because I'll just put it in there. I won't put them on it. They'll smell it and they'll come through and go, hang on, there's food out here. And so we start to feed them in this area, not in the other area where they're actually bedding down, look. So you'll find that some of them will carry on feeding. Some of the greedy ones will just carry on feeding until they're absolutely full, where others have just had a couple of nibbles at it and back out again. And one or two of them might not have had much at all. But they're all learning at this stage. So what's happening, they're having no pressure put on them. If I put pressure on them, they're still going to panic mode, because last week their ears opened, they could hear you, and all of a sudden it's like scary, what's all those noise, what's the banging cages? This week, no problem at all. I can jet spray the kennels, they got the radio on in there, they hear me coming in and out, and they're not fearing me coming in and out. What they're doing, they're fearing me when I go and pick them up. A couple of them are panicking at the moment, where in another week or two they won't panic at all when I pick them up, because they got used to me, and the positives will come from me, the food. I will become the food source for them, and that's important for you to see. Now, the reason I've put this video up is because so many people are asking me, well, can you put video up of the pups, because I want to see my pup, I want to see my pup. And I say to you, there's nothing we can really do until they're 4 weeks of age, because you don't start showing any little characters. But then you start to see the characters build on these little pups at this stage, and you start to see the ones who are, hungry, greedy, the ones that will just push themselves out like bulldozers, and the ones who will just sneak themselves in there. And as you can see, look, they've got their feet in there. They're learning for association, but they've got a bigger area now than the small whelping box that we keep them in to begin with, because they're growing so quick. And yet now, look, you've got to spend half an hour cleaning them up. Luckily it was Sue's day off, so we started this just on the right day. I don't go straight in there and give them dry food, because I want to give them the Weetabix mix so they can lap it. They learn to lap it, and then this is all soft, and this is just like Weetabix, like I say, watered down Weetabix. We never put milk on the food. We put water on the food, but we do it with a hot kettle, and then we leave it for half an hour and let it cool down, and then add cold water to it. So it's got to be blood temperature, and that's what we do. We used to give milk years ago. We used to upset the stomachs and have the squirts with the pup and wonder why, because the cow's milk is too rich for the dogs. What they can have, though, they can have goat's milk. Goat's milk is a good alternative if your bitch isn't giving enough milk off. The pups can have goat's milk. That doesn't upset them, but cow's milk does. Now, some people might say, well, you can water cow's milk down. Well, at the end of the day, we don't. I keep saying to people, milk doesn't make milk. Water makes milk. So when the bitch is having water, and she's got to have plenty of water with her food, the water makes milk. We don't give the bitch milk to make milk. Some people say, well, that's obvious, but some people wouldn't know that. Some people give the dogs milk thinking that's what's going to produce the milk for the pups. It doesn't. But you always want a good quality food, and the bitch is on very high quality food, and she's plus on all the extras at the moment. So if there's anything left over, she's getting that. Like, we had some beef the other day that we didn't finish. She had the beef. We had some liver. She had the liver. So she's getting anything like that. And then what I start to do is I start to give her canned fish. I give her pilchards. I give her high protein stuff to give her a good start on top of the food that she's got, because I want the pups to have the best. But by the time the pups are 6 weeks old, they will have mince every day as well as dry food. So they'll get a soft mince, raw mince, but they'll also get the dry food. But they will free feed. That food will be left in there for them to come in and out when they want it. It will not be brought in and brought out at certain stages. At the moment, it is to get them really keen on it. Then you'll find that they won't pig out. They'll just eat non-stop, and their body weight will grow nicely. And that's why we do it. So they're now getting to the stage where I've edited it, because when I came back in and watched the film and seen they've eaten some, I then went back inside and put the film on. And look, there's a big gap there. They're blocking it. They're blocking the gap. This one can't get through. Look, they're all trying to work their way through. There you go. It's a bit like a rugby scrum. It's a bit like the tube, isn't it? Trying to get on the tube station. So the pup went, okay, I'll have another bite, and then I'll go back in there as I'm out here. So then what happens is my darling wife then comes in, and we clean them first, and then we put them on new bedding, and as you see, the bedding there is going to be changed. And the next bit of video that you're going to see, this is for the people who want to watch the pups, because some people say I just sit and watch every moment of it. I'm just fascinated by the pups and what they get up to. So I'm going to give you now a music section of you listening to watching the pups if you want to watch the pups, and then you'll see the mother with the pups, so you can see the mother, and I come back in and do some talking again in a minute. So I hope you've enjoyed that explanation of what we do and why we do it in the way we do it at Corleone Gun Dogs.
Mommy, where's Mommy? Where's your Mommy gone? So that's them all done now, flea treatment and wormer all done in one.
Right.
Okay, we'll put Mummy back in there, give them a drink. So as you can see, they want the mother's milk. That's what they want the mother's milk. They've come alive now. Look at them. And she's having to pay for it now. Where's your mommy gone? As you can see, they're on the milk. They don't mess around. See the big boys? They get in there and they want that milk. So we're going to let them carry on there, and they're learning to move around the box, get back to the mother, and that's what they're doing. As you can see, they're loving it. They want their feed. Look how they're pushing in. They want their feed. They don't mess around now. So we'll let them get on with it. There you go.